you are always under pressure. You will not be able to understand which are the questions which are going to test the attitude or the personality or the integrity and the honesty. But there are some questions, 1 or 2 questions in 30 minutes, which are so cleverly designed, particularly the attitude questions, situational questions, which are cleverly designed and put at a place that the candidate's real attitude, whether it's positive candidate or a negative, or reacts to too much or is concealing something, will come out. If not in all, in most of the cases. No system can be perfect, it is a subjective system. But in most of the cases, they are able to judge the honesty of the candidate. You have got to believe. And there is no point in trying to be smart with the people who are going to decide your destiny for next 30, 40 years. Right? So believe it for that half an hour at least. And if you believe it for that half an hour, I'm sure you will get excellent marks and you will start believing it for the rest of your life. You have already prepared. For personality test, I can skip through this. So some people say, particularly those people who said, I got 200 plus marks, I had never prepared for personality test. Leave it, okay, you were lucky, but I want to prepare. You got to prepare. Because if nothing else, it gives you confidence, or at least a show of confidence. That's also important, that you are able to show yourself as confident. Why do I say that it's not good to be over-prepared? Because when you are over-prepared, you tend to be a little too conscious about everything that you are saying. And it shouldn't also be appearing that on every question being asked that I know the answer to every question. It gives a feeling to the board of overconfidence. As one of my colleagues in the mock board very nicely put it, Sharan Mishra very nicely put it to some of you, that there is very thin line, or probably I would say no line between confidence and overconfidence and arrogance. In that chain. So, and you would never get to know when it starts appearing to them as an overconfidence. Because they are old people and the difference of age between them and you and difference of experience is so much that your perceptions and their perceptions are bound to be different. It will be too much of a gamble for you to believe that he will not be able to grasp my personality. Never take a chance. So read everything about general studies, read everything about the subject, but everything is not to be spoken. If you know too much about a question, I'll tell you some examples, my own experience. What happens in UPSC, particularly even if one of the 5 members is a person who is very alert sitting there. Say one question is asked, something about your subject. Generally it happens with your subject. If you are an engineer and somebody starts asking you an engineer, you are very happy. First of all, your happiness shows on your face. Doesn't matter. It's natural. Don't try to hide it. But this is the question I prepared. Yahi aa gaya. And you start answering. But word of caution here. I would suggest do not immediately get excited, because the knowledge is not being tested. There is a real objective is not to test your knowledge of engineering. So do not get overexcited on that. In the normal way, start answering the question. Because very often, if you start showing too much of enthusiasm in answering that question, they will generally cut you short. Okay, you know this. Let's ask you something else. Then another member will chip in and he will start change the subject only. From engineering, he will go to medicine. So, but you don't want him to shift. You want to play on your own pitch, isn't it? In familiar conditions. This is a small strategy. Otherwise, also overexcitement and enthusiasm is not good in a personality test. Thorough preparation of subject is absolutely necessary. You must be knowing that at least one of the 5% there is an academician. Normally, academicians are nowadays from IITs or IIMs. And with most of you being engineers, IIT the professors are very knowledgeable. So you have got to be good at your own subject, even though it was not your optional. Most of the engineers don't take engineering as an optional. But be prepared. But supposing you are not well prepared and is asking you a very technical question, then again, then there's the test of honesty. In fact, the test of honesty comes first of all in your subject. When I want to test the honesty in a candidate, I'll ask him difficult questions on his own subject. Because I know if the person is trying to bluff, he will try to guess because he thinks it is his subject and he knows a lot about it. And if he cannot answer it precisely, he'll get poor marks not because of lack of knowledge of subject but because of not admitting it straight away that, sorry sir, I didn't know, I don't know. This is a very little difference but very crucial difference. When you are asked on your subject, it's not necessary, it's not your duty that you must always know about your subject. It's much better to admit that I did study this in college, but over a period of years I don't remember it, and as it is, it's not your option right now. So you don't have much interest in keeping afresh with that. So it's good to admit at times ignorance in your own strong subject also, rather than trying to guess. And of course, bluff is absolutely ruled out. Anybody who tries to bluff UPSC in civil services is not for anyone. Absolutely. And even guesswork, unless you are asked to guess, never guess. Sometimes UPSC members will ask you to guess. When you are shaky in answering a question and you are thinking a lot, and you are in a dilemma whether to answer or not to answer, and they understand what's going on in your mind. They'll say, okay, you want to guess? Still, what do you say? Do you want to guess? Generally, you don't want to guess. So then they'll say, okay, you guess. If they ask you this question, do you want to guess, what will be your ideal answer? On a question of fact or knowledge, would you like to guess or not?
On the fact, I would not like to guess.
You would not like to, but if sometimes it happens that you have a vague idea, it's your subject, you have some idea. So honestly say that, I've studied this subject, I don't remember much, what I know is this. If you, I'm not confident about it, but sir, as you say, if you want me to guess, I'll try to make an intelligent guess. That's all. With permission, not otherwise. Either on their direction that you guess or with permission. Then your guess is not called a bluff. Then it is a genuine reaction of a genuine person. Otherwise, never guess. Right? Even if they push you, sometimes they provoke you to guess. But do it with permission from them. Otherwise, no. Only debatable issues, questions of fact, if you are not able to answer, doesn't matter. I have seen a candidate a few years ago. And the candidate entered, she was asked a few questions on history, which was an option. Could not answer any of those questions. The first, second, third, first 2, 3 questions were I don't know. And the last question after about 25 minutes was, a map was there. Normally a map is there in the UPSC room, particularly for the geography people. And they said, get up from here, go there and point out where is Cuba on this map of the world. Not from a geography candidate, from any other candidate. The lady replied very bluntly. Already about 50%, at least 50% of the questions she had not answered during the interview in 25 minutes, including the first 2, 3. And now this was the last question. He said, okay ma'am, this is the last question, madam. Point out Cuba on this map. Without getting up, she said, it was a little rude also, and she said, I don't know. And in any case, it does not matter because Indian Foreign Service is not my choice. So, it's a stupid answer, isn't it? All of them laughed and said, okay, thank you, and went away. But in between for the 10-15 minutes, some situational questions and some questions of where she was asked to give speeches, etc., and were given. I have also asked some of you to give 1 minute, 2 minute speeches. It has its own significance. Do you know how much this lady got? How many marks she got? This is an incident of the type in the days when I was appearing in the UPSC interviews. This is of 1980. 250 UPSC marks were there for interview in those days. Out of 250, she got 200, which is equivalent to 240 of today, 80%. Which goes to, and this is happening today also, which goes to prove that. And it's not a story, because I know it for sure, because the lady with whom it has happened happens to be my wife. She's an IRS officer. So it's a true story. So even today I have seen recently in UPSC that marks are not at all given or deducted for factual questions and their answers. Little confidential. But do you know what did the then UPSC chairman tell him? He said, initially he asked once a board tha, which was your board? Sir, aapka board tha. I was in your board only. He said, okay, which were the other questions? So there was some discussion. Then he could reconnect. Okay, now I remember. You were the candidate whom I told at the end of the interview that notwithstanding your knowledge and qualifications, you are not cut out for civil service. Attitude problem. Reactions. Being aggressive. Taking for granted that I know a lot. Trying to be smart with the UPSC. So finally the last sentence that the wise old man told them, the boys and girls over there, that what we look for is the honesty of the candidate and a word of caution, that is, if a candidate tries to outsmart the board, we finish. That there is still on an average 20 to 30 days before your interview, do a little practice standing in front of the mirror on your own. But every day, if you are not getting an opportunity for a mock interview, and in fact, I am personally of the view that this is better than even a mock interview. After all, when you appear in a mock interview before me, you are listening to my views only. I have my own limitations, my views are my subjective views. You are supposed to be the best judge of your personality. You've grown with your own personality. Spend 30-35 minutes every day in front of the mirror dressed up. And have a set of questions and answers written. You can take it from the old competition magazines, interviews are published. The content is not important. Somebody reading out a question to you, imagine that. If somebody reads out, it's fine. If you have a friend who can help you in that, it's fine. Two of you can do this mock exercise. And you are only giving answers. Now, speaking on that subject, it gives you those loopholes, those ideas those places where you are weak in handling your answer. It gives you the idea where you can borrow time, as I tell you just now, from the members of the board. Every day doing it once will not take you more than 30-40 minutes, but I am sure your performance will improve substantially in the real end. Home state and city you must have already prepared, this is normal. Your own educational background, career, profession, model answer should be prepared. Although you can say that I am contradicting myself. I said you should be natural in your answer. You should be. But still you should prepare model answers, because unexpected questions coming for the first time in your life, it is very difficult to be perfect in them. After all, the UPSC is not calling you every day for a personality test. At the most once a year. So it's such an important day for you that you cannot take a chance. So for the expected questions, prepare model answers, write down and do a little practice in front of the mirror. Particularly for engineers, doctors and professionals, why coming into civil services? Because today and yesterday I asked quite a few persons. The answers coming are different. Some of them are acceptable as average, some of them are very good, but some are below average. Because a lot of candidates are trying to justify, I am sorry to say, are trying to justify that I use my knowledge of engineering or information technology in such and such way by e-governance and by tracking so and so as a district administrator even in the northeast. This is ridiculous. People generalists, not as a specialist. You are being selected as an IAS officer to take decisions, to make policies, not to work with computers. They can hire any number of IT professionals government is hiring today. So do not try to justify that my knowledge will definitely come. No, it may not come, it doesn't matter. It's the education which I have got. That engineering has, 4 years of engineering has given me maturity, it has given me education, it has shown me the life, it has taught me how to deal with people. It has taught me what is the difference between a computer which hasn't got a mind of its own and the human beings. It's not only the IQ that matters for an IAS service, much more than the IQ. What matters, you can tell them this sentence also, that it's much more than IQ that matters for a good civil servant is the emotional quotient and the social quotient, the EQ and the SQ. And my years of education and interaction with people around the world has taught me this. Rather than trying to justify how electronics and telecommunication will help me in my career. Because it was not your subject in college. So the base is likely to be little shaky. They want to test how solid is the foundation of political science. Why did you take it? Or geography or whatever it is, anthropology, something like that. And they will give you this option that you choose that field in political science and we'll ask you questions from that. So be prepared with at least 1 or 2 areas in that subject. Say in political science and international relations, you can go for IR or you can go for constitution, whatever you like, but do it thoroughly. Because when they ask you the question, at that point of time, if you are not ready with the answer and you start thinking, what should I answer? Then the question is probably gone. You may not get a chance again. Or the impression that you give to the board is not really good. They are likely to create a difficult situation for you. So be prepared for that. You should have just as you have a hobby. Say, when I ask you a question, which is your favorite game, people who play cricket always say cricket. They don't have to think that whether I should say cricket or hockey. It's natural. So here also it should immediately come out without thinking. Our psychologist here also has been asking open-ended question about yourself. Practice at least 50, 60 such questions about yourself. Say, how do you see yourself 10 years later? What is the concept of leadership? What is the concept of friendship from your point of view? What have you done as a good friend to your friends in your life so far? Simple, similar questions about your life, particularly from your school and college days. They are being asked actually to test your reactions, to see whether the candidate has a positive bent of mind or not, whether it's helpful to others or not. This rule is not to be applied to every question. If it is applied to every question, you will expose yourself as an artificial personality. This rule is to be applied to only those questions where thinking is required. What can be that type of questions? Anybody? Analytical questions, situational questions. Say, in every good interview, they will make you DM for a couple of minutes. Particularly when you are doing well and your first choice is IAS, this is bound to happen. You will say everybody is not asked that question. Why? I have asked this question to 3 or 4 persons yesterday and today. And only those persons who are doing very well in that interview, then they will generally ask you this question. The reason is, when you are doing well in your interview, then the board decides. You know that there is no time limit. They have taken interviews last year for 14-15 minutes also and for 45 minutes also. The chairman is a master. How do they decide it? Depends on the candidate actually. It's not that some people say, mine was just before the lunch time, so I got only 20 minutes, I am very unlucky. It's nothing like that. It depends on the candidate, on getting candidates' reactions and the answers to the questions. There is a signaling process in the members of the board. Say the average time is 25 minutes or so. Earlier it used to be 30, nowadays they are taking 10 interviews a day, earlier it used to be 8 per day. I think last year they took even 12 sometimes, some of the boards. But then they drag on. If a good candidate, I have seen them taking interviews up to 6:30 also in the evening. So don't be bothered about that. So, but to a good candidate, they never do injustice. Be sure of that. There's no, because my experience of life is that there is no organization in the world I have seen which is more fair than UPSC. Factor of luck is another thing. I called it the most UP unpredictable corporation also, but it is very extremely fair. I'll tell you how. They don't decide on the number of minutes, but if your answers are coming well and they see that this candidate is a potentially good IAS candidate, should get good marks also, and then they signal to each other, extend the interview. Because in order to give the highest marks in the top slab, some situational questions should be asked, because it's not a test of knowledge, it's a test of reactions also, right? So, but those are the questions where you need to think. So thinking should be only for questions where you need to think, not always. This I have already stated. Answer must be to distract. That this is your strong point. Try to bring the interview board in your direction. Try to take them to your direction so that you are strong on this subject. Never do this. Why? Why I am saying so strongly never do this? What could be the reason?
They understand the deliberate.
Yes. Because remember that rule. They can read in your mind. They know, they will immediately understand. 5 old men and women, they have the cumulative experience of working in government for 150 years at least, they will understand. Take it for granted, they will understand, and then they'll make your life miserable. Right. So don't do that. People say nothing succeeds like success, so successful people say I did that and I got through. But don't fall into that trap. The risk is too much. It's too much of a gamble. When a person has been asked by a member, your duty is to look into the eyes of that member. The eye contact is extremely important, and start answering to him or her. But at the same time, it is also your duty to have a look all around after every minute or two. Because there's a general rule that the psychologists have taught us that looking continuously into the eyes of one person is called staring, which is not a good habit. And moving your eyes quickly here and there is called being shifty. That's also not good. That is, with a pleasant smile, look at everybody once in a while, have a quick glance and come back to the main person. You are answering question, but at the same time others are also interested. Once in a while you will find that some of the members are not even looking at you. He is doing something on his own. If you are thinking, ye to apna kaam karne, why should I look at him? Don't make that mistake. He is intelligent enough to look up once in a while. He is showing that I am not interested, but actually he is listening to you very carefully. He is deliberately showing it to you as if I am doing something else. So don't ignore that, him also. Because presume that he may be doing something else, something more important. Bureaucracy makes saying it. After all, you are going to join bureaucracy. That is about the boss. When the senior or the boss comes late to office, they say the boss is never late. He must have been held up in something more important. I am going to my office. Have often been asking me is that a question is asked. You have given an answer. Now the member of the chairman starts telling you that finding fault with your answer and gives his answer and tries to convince you and expect you to change your answer. Should you change or not to? To change or not to change is a very difficult, very uneasy situation. If you change yourself, people will say is fickle-minded, definite opinion nahi. And if you do not change, you are called rigid. Either way, you have a problem. What do you do? Amol, what do you suggest?
Sir, accept those points only which I can reason.
First of all is reasoning. Yeah. Now you have to be very alert in your mind and recollect what did I answer, what was your answer, and what is he saying. If the two answers can be reconciled tactfully, do it. And if all human problems, even as a DM, this is the first rule. When the problem is there, try to solve the problem amicably in such a manner that nobody is hurt, right? But very often it will not be possible. Now that person expects you to change the answer. Once in a while you may have to change it, and it will be good to change it, but not without a good reason. When you decide that you can change the answer, that means you have accepted that your answer was not correct. So you have to expressly, not impliedly, you have to expressly admit that, I am sorry sir, I didn't realize so many aspects of this situation or problem. I didn't probably think deeply, or maybe my experience, my lack of experience, I could not foresee this type of answer which you are giving with your reasoning. I think now I need to, or probably I should revise my point of view or opinion and change my answer looking at the reason that you are giving. Because I am finding your reasons to be much more convincing than mine. So I think I should change it. With a pleasant smile. With a glint of happiness in the eyes, not sadness. And you get 25 marks extra for this. Take it from me. If you do this in a genuine way, not artificially, you get at least 25 marks extra. And if you don't do this and stubbornly and rigidly keep on repeating what you said originally, you lose at least 20. Difference is much more, 45. Right. This is extremely important. That's why this type of questions will be asked to the best candidates who are likely to score very high. Where they are in the zone, yes, banega ya nahi banega. Very often what happens is, when the candidate goes out and the scoring of marks is done by the UPSC chairman and members, the first thing that they discuss amongst themselves is, ये DM का material है कि नहीं? Is it good enough for IAS? Let's give him 240. Otherwise, 180 ठीक है, let him go to audit and account service. Something like that. This, just as it is in the minds of the candidate that IAS versus other services, it's also in the mind of the board. Because the qualities which you require for an administrator at the top level are being tested. If you come up to that, those qualities, these questions are important. And think about that. But when you want to admit it quickly. Otherwise, it will appear as if you are admitting under pressure. That you are being cornered, so you are admitting after all interview, kuch marks to chahiye. That situation should be. Normally, no guesswork. I have already told you. This I have already covered. Don't get too excited. All the 10 slides that I am showing you. That is positive approach, flexibility, adjustability, and willingness to learn. What the marks are basically for these three things. Sometimes people say, how do they give marks? On the basis of what, which questions? On an average, in 30 minutes, they ask 20 questions. An average interval. But it does not mean that 20 questions are 15 marks each. I am going by last year 300. It does not mean that. There are some questions which are 50 marks. There are some questions which are 0 marks. You get by now you would have understood which are the questions of those 40, 50 marks and which are the useless questions. Just the questions about yourself, your personality, your educational background, your family background, your hobbies, and sometimes even your subject, which has no relevance in your exam, which is not your optional. All these things, the marks are basically very few. They are just to make you comfortable so that you can pass more difficult tests later. So that's why, but people who do not come out successful in this first 10 minutes out of these questions, they can get at best average marks because they are out of that zone of getting the top marks. So the first 10 minutes are basically to make you comfortable. Today board is UPSC is extremely friendly. 30 years ago when we were the candidates, they used to do leg pulling also. It was the norm in those days to do leg pulling of the candidate, which happens to even today some places in the corporate sector, but not in government. Today UPSC is extremely cordial and friendly. They don't ask you personal questions. In fact, personal questions are barred, not allowed to be asked. They don't ask many things which would amount to pulling down a person. They are encouraging, they are supportive, take advantage. They never try to make you nervous nowadays. They only try to encourage you. So the nervousness is out of your dictionary for UPSC interview. Because they want, in fact I have seen that the candidate who is least prepared is also encouraged to come out. And given the choice, subject आप decide कीजिए, हम question पूछेंगे. But you have to show willingness to learn. This I find is lacking in large number of candidates. That is, you come to the board with a mindset that this is my answer. Even if you have a prepared answer, but he is giving you a better answer, you have to show willingness to learn. Because ultimately they are selecting IAS professionals who are going to be given 2 years of rigorous training. So if you show willingness to learn, you get at least 20 to 30 marks extra. Take it from me, I have been in the training in government for about 10 years. In my 33 years of service, 7 years I have worked in the academy and 3 or 4 years more in some training, other training assignments. And the first thing that I look for in UPSC candidates is the trainability, we call it, the trainability of the candidate. The UPSC chairman asks the member, can he be molded into a good officer? Can he be trained to be a better officer? The direction to the member is test his adjustability, flexibility, trainability, and you have to score highly on that in order to get 200+. Outside, but still you should know. The reason is, before you enter, at that time what are they doing? Doesn't matter that they are having a cup of tea, that's okay. Generally, almost always, they are discussing about the marks of the previous candidate, which are absolutely confidential. You cannot be allowed to hear that. You can understand. So without knocking entry is absolutely correct. Please do remember this. And to keep your confidence, being little conscious about it, you are told well in advance, computer पे already आ गया है आपका personality test 28th को afternoon में है. One of the candidates made this mistake today in the mock also by saying good morning at 2:30. Don't do that. Because interview can start on that. Then that will be unnerving for the candidate. First few minutes are crucial, but I said because that gives you the confidence and prepares you for the more difficult